All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the EGAD Spring 2023 Kickoff. So a little bit about us. What is EGADS? That's the Electronic Game Developers Society. We're pretty much just a bunch of students here at UT Austin who are dedicated to game development and fostering, game development skills amongst our membership. And as for who runs it, we've got a whole team of 12 fantastic officers helping run this org. That's me, Noah Kuhn. We've also got, and I'm just going to call y'all out, so if you're here, please do stand up if you could. Karina Taria, our Art Workshops Director. Connor Blankenship, our Community and Socials Director. There's a lot of us, if you applaud for every one of them. Ariane Austria, are you here? Nope, doesn't look like it, but she's our Outreach and Recruitment Director. Of course, we've got Bobby Ustra, our Media Director. Rodrigo Okamoto, right there as our Main Events Director. Caitlin Messimer, are you here? Don't see her, but yeah, she's our Communications Director. Jojo, who actually told us he couldn't make it, but he's our Industry Officer, and he's the one who got us Willem to speak today, so thank you, Jojo, for that. Adan, our Sponsorship Officer up here up front. Chloe, our Design Director, right over there. Ethan Long, our Treasurer. He was here. Where'd he go? There he is. Okay. And Ryan Lewis, our Unity Shops Officer, way back there. Cool. So glad to see y'all, of course, and anyone else. If you see them around, these are the people to talk to get to know more about the org. So a little bit about our events. We're a very heavily event-based org, as you'll see. And so pretty much here is what you can expect in this upcoming semester. We're going to have speaker nights every 3-ish weeks, starting on Thursday, February 9th, 6 to 8 p.m., where you'll hear from industry professionals, sponsors, and EGADS alumni on a variety of topics. We try to shake them up a little bit. And then you can ask questions about working in games. And past speakers include all these big name places: PlayStation, Niantic, Zynga, Riot Games, and Alchemy have all sent speakers to us before, as well as Bethesda. Then every month for 2 Thursdays each month, we're going to have workshops, 6 to 8 p.m. in GDC 5.302. That's up on the 5th floor. It's one of the classrooms that's kind of off in that direction. It'll be Unity and Art on alternating weeks, with a few exceptions where we'll have combined sessions. And that first workshop, which will be a combined session, is going to be on Thursday, February 2nd. You gain skills for game development if you don't have them already, and it starts off basic and gets more advanced as you go along, so that you can really sort of build those skills up over the semester. We focus on 2D in the fall, so you've already missed that, but you can come back next fall and we'll do it again. But for the spring, we'll be doing 3D focus. Then we have Dev Nights every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. on our Discord. There is a Dev Nights section with a Dev Nights channel and voice channel that you can join. If you're not seeing that, then go over to our roles channel and get yourself the Dev Nights role, because we'd love to have you. It's just a chill space to study, work, and develop video games. There, is no agenda. It's just you show up and then you chill out for 2 hours pretty much. You get to meet with other EGADsians working on projects. They usually show them off, so it's a ton of fun to sit there and look at everyone's projects. And then you occasionally get some casual alumni and industry visits. We've also got Game Sprouts. These are the first 3 weeks of every month. And they're pretty much just a sort of challenge that we give you out on the beginning of every month to make pretty much anything that you want that is related to games. New prompts, like I said, are announced on the 1st in Discord. And January's prompt, if you've missed it, is growth. And the idea is to submit anything at all, by 7 a.m. on the 22nd that relates to that prompt. So pretty much it allows you to put your skills towards smaller prompt-based projects, and you can showcase your abilities in a specific area and build out your portfolio without having to worry about committing to an entire game. So those are the sort of lineup of events that you can expect us to do on a regular basis over this semester. So let's talk about some actual specific upcoming events. First of all, we've got the EGADS X TASA Mixer Social, 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th, up in GDC 5.302. Again, 5th floor, one of the classrooms over there. It's going to be a board game and Switch game social, and we've also kind of got the ability to bring our own games. So if you want to go represent EGADS and bring your own game and set it up at a table, all you have to do is bring your laptop and your game, and we'll get you set up. Then we've got intro workshops coming up on Tuesday, February 2nd, also in GDC 5.302. And like I mentioned, this one's going to be a combined session. We're going to cover Unity basics from 6 to 7 p.m. and then some digital art basics from 7 to 8 p.m. One of the big events that we have going on this semester is Global Game Jam is coming back to Austin. That is going to be the weekend of Friday, February 3rd, with a kickoff at 5 p.m. At Game Worlds. And I believe we're still in the talks about it, but I believe we're going to be streaming that virtually as well. So if you can't make it out to Game Worlds, that should be totally fine. Just join the Discord server that is linked right there, and you should get any updates that you need on that. So this is the world's largest game creation event. It happens literally globally. That's why it's called that. So we really want to see some EGADS participation in that. And yeah, you can sign up for participation through the website. That's that first QR code. And you can join the Jam Discord for any more information that you might need. And you'll see some of us officers helping moderate it. And then our big EGADS event of the spring is GDC Squared, of course, on Saturday, February 18th this year, here in GDC Auditorium 2.216. You get to learn from talks and panels with game industry professionals, and you get to experience games and art from indie studios and other students set up in the atrium for anyone to come by and play. And most importantly, you get to connect with a lot of local game developers. This one will be a sort of hybrid format. We've got both in-person and virtual speakers, so you'll get to hear from a wide variety of speakers on a wide variety of topics. And I realize we didn't put it here. I think we're still talking on it is why we didn't, but this is like an all-day event pretty much. It starts in the morning, we feed you lunch, and we go into the evening, and it'll just be in this room all day, just speaker after speaker. And then a few more events that we've got going on. This is not an EGADS Run event, but we want to promote it. The ATX Game Makers Jamathon is happening right now. It actually started like an hour ago, I think. And so it starts today, so you can head that way right afterwards if you'd like to. And it goes over the weekend, ending at, I believe, 7 p.m. on Sunday. That might be a lie, but you can check with them to be sure. And you can get more info right there at that QR code. So it's an in-person game jam hosted by ATX Game Makers. And it's a great community of game developers, really, who want to help each other and want to help you grow just like we do, pretty much. So if anyone's interested, I'm just going to make sure we have time for the QR code to get scanned. Cool. And then we also want to promote the Games Y'all meetup that's coming up tomorrow. That is tomorrow, January 21st, from 2 to 5 p.m. this time, rather than in the evening, at a different location, Batch Craft Beer, which is that address right there, 3220 Manor Road, Austin, Texas. This one's theme is Family Edition, so all of these games are going to be a little more family friendly, and pretty much it's just a fun opportunity to play games and meet other game developers, including some EGADsians, Karina and Connor. Come support them. They're showcasing a game. It'd be really cool to see y'all out there, and of course you can RSVP right at that QR code. So those are our upcoming events. Let's go over a few ways that you can stay connected with EGAD so that you can always be in the know about events that we've got coming up. Here's our big page on it. Scan that QR code and join our Discord right now if you haven't already, because that is like where 90% of our announcements go out. We've got our Discord. We've got our itch page where you can play games made by other EGADS people. We've got our Twitter where we like to send out announcements for some of our major events as well as promote our people as well. And then we've got YouTube where we will upload recorded talks and workshops. Give that a moment. Cool. And then, yeah, you can join EGADS, like an actual membership. It's only $10. You Venmo us right there at Texas EGADS. And in your Venmo payment, please include your full name, your Discord username, your EID, and your t-shirt size, or as many of those are applicable. And then here are some of the perks you get out of that. You get exclusive access to the GDAD Career Fair when that happens. You get lifetime access to the EGADS LinkedIn group that we're setting up. And you get an exclusive t-shirt. If for whatever reason Venmo doesn't work out for you, you can talk to one of us officers and we can see about sorting that out. And of course, if you need to verify your payment, then you can contact our treasurer, Ethan, back there. Yeah, Ethan. Yeah, so yeah, that's his @ if you need that, that is @Trepanation #9888. And this is that shirt design that we were talking about. Yeah. Huge thanks, Chloe, for designing that. And we are working through getting those right now. So if you haven't paid for your membership and you want a shirt like this guaranteed for you, please pay your membership as soon as possible. I'll also point out while we're here, you don't need a membership to join any of our events. All of our events are just open to the public, so you can join if you'd like, and that's totally fine. But if you want the shirt, pay for your membership. And if that shirt isn't exactly your style, but any of the previous shirts from the last like 3 years are, we've got a lot left over, and so we're still selling them for $10 a piece. This one here was from last year. This is our EGAD's Legend of Zelda shirt. I know you've got one from 2019-20. So that's EGAD's as you, and I didn't see any Persona ones, so I don't have any examples of that one to show off. But yeah, if any of those previous shirts are interesting to you, just let us know, and we'll be glad to go check that we have your size first, and then you can pay us, and we'll get you those shirts. A few related organizations we just want to shout out: Longhorn Gaming and Women in Gaming. We do a lot of stuff with them, and we let them promote their activities on our server. So if you like making games, chances are you like to play them as well, and you can get a lot of events based on playing them from these two orgs. And a special thanks to our sponsors for this year: Zynga, Arctic 7, NetEase, Gearbox, Archetype, Pocket Gems, Bonus XP, Infinity Ward, Skeleton Key, Every, and SciPlay. We could not put on the events that we do without their support. And thank you for being here, because we wouldn't have an event without people to show up. So we really appreciate you showing up. And we hope to see you around at our future events as well. And with that, I believe I'm done yammering on about EGADS, and I will be able to hand it over to Willem Cranendonk now, level designer at Zynga working on Star Wars Hunters, who has worked on Knockout City and Shantae before. So Willem, if you're here, I will be glad to let you take control of the screen.
I am here. Hi, everyone. This is very awkward for me to not be in the lecture hall.
Not going through Hey, Willem, just 1 second. It is apparently playing through a small screen, not through our large system.
Oh.
The mic says it's on because I had that. My speaker. This thing? Okay, we go here. Probably this guy. Okay, Willem, could you try now?
Hello.
Okay, I actually can't hear you at all now, which is worse.
Okay.
I was just gonna have you press buttons up here. Let's try this one. No, I don't think so, because when it's plugged in, it's not on. Hey, Willem, could you try talking now?
Yes, hi.
Okay,
Did it work?
I still can't hear you. Yeah, I've turned that volume up. That volume's all the way up. I don't think that's going to do it, but maybe it will. Hey, Willem, okay, try it again.
Hello.
There it is.
Yay.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. Willem, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and let you take over the screen and then full screen that. And it'll all be
Awesome. Thank you so much. Guys, I do want to apologize, and folks, everyone. Hi, I'm Willem. I'll do a proper intro in a second. I was supposed to be there today, but unfortunately, because of Star Warsy stuff and me getting a cold, I'm not there in person. But I just want to say I'm really, really sorry, because I love UT. I was there last year. I loved hanging out with you guys and a lot over the last year or so. So it's really a pleasure to be back. But I apologize that I'm not there. So F in the chat if anyone wants to. But yeah, let me quickly screen share this presentation. So first of all, hi everyone again. Thank you all for inviting me today. As I was introduced wonderfully by Noah, thank you for that. My name is Willem Cranendonk, and I am a level designer currently working at Zynga. I'll talk a little bit about me and a few, but for today, I wanted to kind of try and show you guys a little bit about what it takes to be a game developer in modern AAA gaming. I've been working in the industry for 8 years. It has drastically changed, and as someone who tries to be an advocate for getting students and people who aspire to be game developers, my goal is to make sure that I can give you a good interpretation of like an expectation of what it does take to become a AAA game developer in this day and age. Um, so with that, I want to talk a little bit about who we are at Zynga. Zynga, we are a mobile company that was recently a social mobile company that was recently purchased by Take-Two Interactive. I'm sure a lot of you saw that in the news. We have been part of the Take-Two family now for a little while, and Zynga has obviously been a company that you've all have heard of for more than a decade. We've been located in Austin now for more than a decade as well, and Zynga is a wonderful, open-minded, creative, super ambitious video game studio that's built on one quote and one quote alone, which is, what will our players thank us? We are player driven, we are developer driven, and most importantly, we are trying to create tangible and absolutely wonderful social experiences. We have several game studios from across the globe, and thanks to Take-Two, we have now even more. And it's just an international, exciting, diverse video game company and software company that I'd urge every single one of you, when you consider your future employment, to come give us a ring. We'd love to have you. We have a fantastic careers page. You can see it on all your social platforms, and it has some great videos that go through absolutely everything from our core philosophies of how we work, disciplines, culture, benefits, and of course, we have a wonderful university program that obviously is attached to this presentation, but also to others across the globe. We really try to do our best to give back to our communities and to fellow developers. And of course, we have some fantastic diversity groups too. You know, we really pride ourselves in these. These are assured and self-funded by our team members, and getting maximum support from our board at Take-Two and of course at Zynga, and we're really proud of it. And of course, it helps create a lot of communities and just a wonderful, unique family that we don't try to oversell. We try to set by example, which is something that we value. With that, let me actually reintroduce myself. So, you know who I am. This is me with a cowboy hat. You can make fun of me for it. I've been Texified. I'm actually from the great state of California, from the city of San Francisco. I'm not a Californian who's lived there for like all my life. I'm actually from my mother is Greek and my dad is Dutch, and I've lived in 4 different continents before the age of 7. I went from San Francisco to war-torn Indonesia to Greece to Chile, back to the United Kingdom, where I spent a long time, and then I moved to the Netherlands, and then ended up in LA, and worked at 2 game studios there, Reverge and WayForward, on Shantae Half Genie Hero, which is my more prolific game. I had to be a janitor in between jobs and work really hard, and my dad ended up on cholesterol pills just to try and fund me a little bit while I was there. I don't know how many folks are from LA, but if you are, you know exactly the pain. It's an expensive city. And then from LA, obviously, all the way back to the Netherlands, and then I got sort of drafted by Velen Studios to come work on some sort of multiplayer shooter in Troy, New York, which is in the middle of absolute nowhere, cold as hell, and nights start very early there. I ended up working on Knockout City, which is obviously the work that I'm most known for. This led to working at TikTok Games on Bark, and then working on Amazon. This is some concept art of the game that we worked on. Unfortunately, this game is no longer going to be made. As a lot of you probably have seen in the news, there are reasons for that. I had left way before all these layoffs and project cancellations had actually happened. And now, of course, I am working on Star Wars Hunters, and I can tell you a funny story about this job, which was the fact that when I did my interview, I started talking about what was my favorite. They asked me a question, what is my favorite Star Wars characters? And I started talking about Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker and Sand, and then started doing impressions of our famous, the greatest diner chef in the Star Wars universe, Dexter frickin' Jetster, and everyone was in tears and laughter when that happened. You could see that the game industry, although like we do take our interviews quite seriously, um, we also don't take the topics we talk about as seriously as well. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and it's a dream job, but it definitely took a very long time to get there. Which leaves me to how the hell did I get a job in this industry? So I went to a Dutch university, and I'm very proud that I came from this Dutch university. It was in the middle of absolute nowhere. I wasn't a very good high school student. I went to very good schools, but I wasn't good enough. I wasn't passionate enough. And I'm kind of like a ticker where it was like, I'm either passionate or I'm not passionate at all. And so, as a lot of you know, in this industry, there is really like a sort of process of how you sort of become a game developer and the sort of life cycle of a game developer. The first part of the life cycle is go to college, then you get a gig, you try to survive the gig, and then you stay or move to the next one. That's pretty much the outline. In my case, it was complete and utter BS. Like that did not happen. I did go to college, um, but unfortunately, I also went through a lot of hardships. I had to be unemployed during COVID. I had to go through hell and back to basically put myself in the position where I can talk about my career with absolutely every one of you. So I was thinking about what to do for this presentation, and I thought I would do what a lot of GDC talks are all about, which is just talk about my life. Hopefully, it inspires all of you, and then there might be a moral message. I don't think that's very effective in this day and age. I think in this day and age, it is important to tell you a little bit about what it really takes to be a game developer. Using examples, of course, of what I've gone through, but to teach you some really important keynotes that will push yourselves, hopefully, in college, outside of college, and in your careers. Because I can assure you that although it is a fun, exciting, innovative industry, it is an industry that is demanding, that is full of passionate people, and most importantly, is based on trying to innovate in the most unbelievable ways possible. And in my opinion, if you asked me what it takes to have a career in video games, there are three words I like to tell people. The first word is if you want to be a good game developer, you got to be honest. And we're going to go into more details with every single one of these words. You got to be accountable. And most importantly, you got to be passionate. It's very easy to say I have all three of these. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what each and every one of these are through some examples. The first one, honesty. Now, if I were in the room, I'd ask, what do you think honesty means? So I'm going to assume that some folks have their own interpretation of what honesty is. But let me tell you what honesty means to me. It means owning up when and being clear, rain or shine. I don't know why I wrote it the way I did that. I think I was drunk when I wrote this or something. But it's owning up, rain or shine, of your mistakes, of your successes, but most importantly, of your mistakes. Early on in my career, I had one of the toughest bosses you could ever imagine. This guy was a guy called Richard Wyckoff, and he was tough. I couldn't have asked for the toughest guy you could ever imagine. I one time got criticized when writing a game design document for the font that I used. The font that I used. He says it has to be something that's clear. And if it wasn't clear enough in his eyes, he would make me redo the whole document again from scratch, delete it on the spot saying, do it again. You're going to do it until you make sure it's absolutely clear. And every single time he did that, I got more and more and more angry. Why? Why is it like he's giving me shit for absolutely everything? By the way, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I swear a lot. I don't have Tourette's or anything, but I do swear a lot. It's important to understand that because this helped me get myself into a position where I pride myself for my honesty, through being confident in telling things straight. What I learned from that harshness and toughness from my former boss was that I may think that I am very good, but he did not see it at that point. And he did not see it because he saw that I didn't pay enough attention in my craft. Now, if any of you are pursuing design, the most important thing is being attentive to the smallest details. And I thought I always had it, but I wasn't honest enough to realize I still got a long way to go. I still got to own up that I don't think I am the shit at that moment. Now, it doesn't mean that this doesn't cultivate to imposter syndrome or anything. It's about making sure that if you think for a moment you are the best version of yourself at that time, you're probably not. You've already sold yourself short. You've got to push yourself to a limit that really demands the most out of you. Because if you look at games today, and there's a lot of games that are out there today, there's a lot of people that pride themselves for the wrong type of stuff, that they have peaked because they have released X certain game in X certain way. It took them X amount of years, and they don't see the results of what they've actually created. Sometimes I challenge my peers in the industry for not always telling the truth to certain developers. Some developers that I know think they are the best in what they do. But it's so easy to think that you're the best because X amount of thing happens. I know a lot of developers who think that by going to X studio, they have made it. Here's something that some of you may or may not know. And by the way, I'm not trying to discourage people to get into game development. I want to make sure that it is easy to get out of this, and it's a lot easier than you think, because I believe that we have all the tech, all the resources, all the knowledge to truly make the biggest and best games that we've ever seen. Because especially if, I don't know how many of you followed the Game Awards this year, the fact that a cat game was in the same category as God of War Ragnarok means that there's an opportunity to do something even bigger and even better and even more creative. And that comes from being honest that, yeah, those games are great, but I can make it better. And we can make it better. And that's why when I ask people, are you honest with yourself? Are you pushing yourself to the furthest that you've put yourself in? Like, are you actually doing it? Because I sure as hell didn't do it when I first came into the industry. I thought my boss was wrong and he was horrible to me. But then I realized, especially when I met more and more of my peers through the industry, I realized he had a point, because he did not want to have more of those folks behaving the way that they did. And if anyone does know me or wants to know how I work, I always own up to my mistakes. Recently, I had a conversation about working overtime. I pushed myself a little too far. And I was honest. I said, I'm a workaholic. I should take it easy. And most people, it's like, well, that's easier said than done. And they're right. And he said, are you honest with yourself to maybe lift off the gas? Stuff like this is what makes the first part of being truly successful in this industry. The second, accountability. Again, I'd ask you, what do you all think accountability means? And I'm going to guess that some folks probably think accountability is, it was my mistake and this and that, whenever. And you're not wrong. But what I think accountability is your actions, good or bad, must always be addressed. When I worked on Knockout City, I was a little junior level designer. They hired me as an intern, but I was a full-time employee. At least that's what we told the school, but they're not checking anymore. Thing is, on Knockout City, I had a very negative team around me. They were a team that was never happy with my work. And as a junior, my goal was to try and make them happy. but instead it made me scared, unhappy, and frankly, demotivated. At one point, they used to call me the Canadian because they thought that I apologized almost every 2 seconds for everything and every action that I had upheld. And they're not wrong. Even to this day, I still apologize way too much. Oh, I'm sorry that I accidentally broke Git, or I'm sorry that I missed a geo piece of block. Oh, I'm sorry for this. Oh, I'm sorry for that. I said that a lot. Some will say that's too much modesty. I think it was a lack of accountability for me to also realize that, on the other hand, I also was able to still deliver work. And when I worked on, eventually, towards the end of my time on Knockout City, I was told a very important lesson, which is, listen, Willem, we know we're critical on you, but you're also doing a damn good job. You've never worked on a multiplayer shooter in your life. You've never worked in our proprietary editor, and you've got to figure out how the hell you've got to make multiplayer maps. And by the way, you've only given yourself 3 weeks to make a map and then art it up and then go through the process. That's true, by the way. Knockout City, all of our maps are made within 3 weeks. And then we had to art it up. And then we had to test it and then go through EA and then go through the CEOs. Then we had to test it in hardware. Oh yeah, we were QA as well. And at that moment, it made me realize, yeah, but still people don't like my work. And then only after when I left Velen did I realize I did some pretty damn good stuff. There's not a lot of people who can say I worked on an original IP, first time out working on an EA title, an EA published title, directly with some of the best talent in the world. I mean, we had a team that was built up of Naughty Dog, 343, Nintendo devs. I mean, we're talking about the 0.01% of the population. That was our team. And they liked my work, and I didn't realize that. I was not accountable. So people would always, sometimes when I had to do interviews, they would think, why are you not patting yourself on the back? One studio rejected me because of that. But then I realized, yeah, I did do a pretty damn good job. So always be accountable in this industry, good or bad. You break a build, own up to it. Not be honest, just own up to it. You did some good work? Well done. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Look how much shit we did. We kicked some serious ass. It is important to have a great balance of both. Not to be too negative, not to be too positive about yourself. That perfect balance, because it's going to make you happier. It's going to make you want to deliver at a higher level. And finally, there's a third word, passion. I know a lot of people who love video games. I know a lot of people who love making video games. But did you know that on average, game developers, the lifespan of a game developer working in the industry is around 5 years? It is not because the game industry breaks you or any of that type of stuff. It is because it is filled with challenges. We are an R&D industry. We're up there with Formula One and NASA. We're one of a very small niche of industries that's not regulated. We are constantly trying to break the mold in our craft every single year. If you look at the games that came out 5 years ago compared to the games that we have now, it is amazing how far we've gone. We have ray tracing technology. We have coistics in ears. I'm sure a lot of you have played Red Dead Redemption 2. If you haven't, you're missing out. It's artistically one of the greatest video games ever created. I see a lot of nodding. I agree. And all that tech, it is just incredible that you can get 60 frames per second. Do you think that came from, let's just make a sequel? No, it came from 100, 200 plus people who are supremely passionate about making video games every single day because they love what they do, through rain or shine. You like games, but you love game development. You'll be tested by your passion. If you look at both stories that I just told you, both stories probably gave you an idea of, okay, he went through some hell. You know, I mean, yeah, people say some nasty stuff. But I'm still here and I love my job more than ever before. Last few months, I've been working around 60 to 80 hours, which I don't encourage anyone here to do, by the way. Please don't do that. But I don't do it because it's within the rules. I do it because I love making video games. 40 hours is dedicated to hunters. The next 20 to 30 hours or 40 hours is to make sure that I can be an even better version of myself because I love making video games. When I see the video game awards, I celebrate the successes of my peers, but I also celebrate the idea of, yeah, this motivates me to start making another game. I mean, we've in this room we've all gone through that. I'm sure some folks have made some games. You all finish your game, you're like, yeah, it was good. I want to make another one. Like, you know, like that itch. There's a huge itch for that. And it's a great itch. Being passionate is the most hardest thing in the world. I know so many people who are smarter than me, who know more about games and game development than me. But not many of them succeed because when they put on their dev heads on and hats on, I should mention that, sorry, dev hats on, it is because they are really they have to separate themselves from being the fan and being the developer. It is a privilege to work in this industry. And the reason people stay, the ones who do stay beyond 5 years, stay a long time, is because rain or shine, we continue loving it. I love it. I went on a holiday in London. We have a team in the UK, in Brighton and London. And there was a I'll tell you two stories. There was a moment where I was in the tube going to Covent Garden, which is where our offices are. Beautiful, by the way. If you've ever been to London, then you know Covent Garden is like peak. And I remember going into Covent Garden and I saw the offices that I'm in. I'm usually not sold off by the offices, and just the attention to detail, the artistry, the sophistication, that everything that's around me, how passionate people are in the week that it's Christmas, are still thinking about Star Wars Hunters. And I'm sitting there going, isn't it cool to be in a room with people who think exactly like me? There's not a lot of them. People always wonder why the best sports teams in the world succeed. It's because a lot of them are passionate. If you look at, you know, what the Chicago Bulls did during those 6 seasons, it wasn't necessarily that they had the best team. It was because they were passionate to chase those NBA titles every single year. The second story, and it's the one that I'm the most attached to, is last year we were at Star Wars Celebration. I'm sure some folks who like Star Wars know what that is. At Star Wars Celebration, we had a booth. And we have a character in our game called Zaina. She is a Indian origin character. And while we're at one of my colleagues who was there, he was at this booth. And they had these big cutouts of all the characters. We have them all in our office actually now. And at one point, a little girl was going back and forth the whole day through those 3 or 4 days of celebration to this booth, always on her own. And then on the last day, she pulled her parents and she started pointing at Zaina and says, "Hey, look, that's me." And she took off her Star Wars helmet and she was Indian herself. Now, I am not an artist. I'm a designer. We don't know anything about art. But what I do know is that if you love what you do, in the end of the day, you can have all these little champagne glasses and special awards for yourself for completing a game or anything. But in the end of the day, that reaction is all we crave. And the best developers understand that. When you play your favorite game on the planet, and I'm sure everyone here has a favorite game, if you told a developer that that was your favorite game, in the end of the day, they will pick your reaction over that little award that they got. Oh, hey, look at me. I completed, I made God of War Ragnarok, or I made Call of Duty Modern Warfare. No, they'll pick, hey, you made my favorite game ever. It moves people. In the end, that's what it's all about. It's all about making those type of experiences. So 3 words: honesty, accountability, and passion. Have all 3 of those, and you're going to make a dent in the universe. Now, I don't know if I will ever do that, but I sure as hell will work hard to do that. I love the team that I work in, and I know we believe it every single day, and I know that this next generation, you, everyone in this room right now, you're going to be the next generation who's going to do that for those players. So let's go out there and make a fucking dent in the universe. Forgive my F-word bombs. Because it isn't really that hard. It just takes a little bit of honesty, accountability, and passion. Thank you very much, guys. And I'm open to any Q&As, but it's really hope that that helps in this day and age. Thank you.
Cool, thanks, Willem. I don't know if you could hear it, but we were applauding. So I hope you could
Yeah.
at least see it. But yeah. But yeah, so we're running a little ahead of schedule, so we've got plenty of time for Q&A. You said you're open to that. So
Yep.
if anyone has any questions, I will be glad to hand this microphone off to them. And then if you can't hear it, Willem, from that, I will just repeat it directly into my microphone.
Sure.
I get one of the officers to pass this around to people.
Yeah, sure. Shall I like close the screen share and just have the camera open? Will people
sure.
still be able to see me? Okay, cool.
Sure, if you'd like to.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.